to them black folks that's down there at that resort in Jamaica that's doing all that damn clowning and making us black Americans look.
Imagine flying to Jamaica for a dream vacation and ending up in a Category 5 hurricane, only to get blamed for wanting food. Who's wrong here? The tourists or the locals? Let's talk. On October 28th, Jamaica was struck by Hurricane Melissa, a monstrous Category 5 system packing winds that reportedly reached 185 miles per hour. The island took a direct hit, and the impact has been nothing short of catastrophic. This storm now ranks among the most powerful the Atlantic has ever witnessed. Entire communities have been shaken, with widespread destruction rippling across Jamaica. Critical infrastructure has been battered, leaving neighborhoods without electricity, communication networks down, roads blocked or washed out, and homes and businesses flooded. The situation is heartbreaking. The damage is deep, and recovery will not come quickly. But it isn't only locals feeling the crisis. Jamaica is a beloved destination, especially popular among Black Americans who feel culturally connected to the island through shared history, music, food, and deep cultural ties. It's a place where many go to relax and reconnect. Unfortunately, some travelers found themselves trapped as the hurricane made landfall, and resort operations have been pushed far beyond their limits. Now many visitors are voicing frustration. With normal services disrupted, food, amenities, and safety measures at resorts simply can't operate like they usually do. And understandably, people are anxious and upset. What was meant to be a peaceful getaway has turned into a frightening wait for safety, stability, and a way home.
So why couldn't we leave when y'all feeding us pastries for breakfast and we still had to pay full price to stay here? Like, come on.
May I ask where you're going now?
We're going to get something to eat.
Everything closed across the street. Everything closed. Gas station, shopping mall, everything closed.
So what are y'all doing for gas? You all knew this storm was coming, right? So you gonna give us bag lunches, bag breakfast, some pastries? That's so disrespectful.
This video is what really sparked the conversation. In it, you hear a woman with a distinct American accent. She sounds like she's from the diaspora, and she is furious. From her perspective, she paid for a high-end vacation in Montego Bay, yet the service she's receiving during the crisis is nowhere near what she expected. She seems unaware of just how severe the situation is across the island, and her frustration boils over. She even posted, "I'm ready to go home. Surviving Hurricane Melissa was not on my itinerary. Please keep us in your prayers." But she isn't the only one upset. Another video shows a British woman sharing what she describes as her ration snack meal, holding up the food and voicing disbelief. You can hear the irritation in her voice. She, too, feels the resort isn't delivering, so we have people from different backgrounds, both the American woman and the British woman, expressing similar concerns during a natural disaster. Then a third clip enters the picture. Local Jamaican man films himself, receiving a fresh hot meal, and uses the moment to criticize Black American tourists online. He says he can't wait for flights to resume so they can leave, claiming Black Americans are annoying and accusing them of acting like they don't even want to be in Jamaica. The irony? He misidentified the woman in the clip. She isn't even a Black American. She's reportedly Caribbean American. Yet he lumps her in and blames Black Americans as a whole. Despite this back and forth, the reality is that plenty of Black Americans were standing with Jamaicans, supporting the country and understanding the situation for what it is: a national emergency, not a luxury vacation gone wrong.
You guys come over here, pay the exact same amount of money that we paid to go over there to spend luxury money, might have saved up this whole freaking year, might have saved up for 5 years, and expected that the Jamaica that we see on our television is gonna be the Jamaican experience that we get. Not only that, you come over here and you spend exactly in the amount of money that we make, that we work our asses off, right? You spend that exact same amount, come over here and experience the treatment that we
This woman raises a perspective that cuts deep. While Jamaica was being battered by a catastrophic hurricane, homes flooding, power failing, families taking shelter wherever they could, Some tourists seemed preoccupied primarily with their own comfort and convenience. Think about that contrast for a moment. On one side, you have locals fighting for stability and safety in real time. On the other, individuals frustrated that their carefully planned vacation stopped feeling luxurious. It is a clash between survival and expectation, and when disaster hits paradise, that tension becomes painfully visible. Picture yourself not as the vacationer, but as someone working on the island. You live here. Your family lives here. This isn't a temporary retreat, and it's your entire world. Your neighbors are checking on elderly relatives, securing roofs, and rationing food. Medical facilities are overwhelmed. Communication lines are down. Stores can't restock. The government is stretched thin, first responders are exhausted, and everyone is trying to figure out where they'll get clean water, batteries, or even gasoline in the morning. And while juggling all of that, you still report to work, because not showing up means someone else suffers, or your employer needs you, or perhaps you simply can't afford not to. In that reality, survival comes first. Within that context, hospitality becomes a task carried by human beings, not robots, and those human beings are just as vulnerable to disaster as everyone else. So when a tourist begins to complain about the food not being gourmet anymore, or the entertainment being canceled, or the room service being unavailable, it can land like a slap to the face. Not because tourists are evil or malicious, but because, to someone struggling to keep their family safe, luxury complaints feel disconnected from the crisis unfolding around them. Many workers in that moment aren't thinking about customer satisfaction reports. They are thinking about roofs blowing off homes, roads washing away, and whether their kids are safe. Their minds are full of the storm, of survival, of responsibility to loved ones. So to hear, "I didn't pay for this," or "I want my normal service," from someone whose biggest immediate threat might be boredom or discomfort, that can be emotionally jarring. It isn't simply annoyance. It's emotional dissonance. Imagine trying to hand out emergency meals at a resort kitchen because deliveries can't reach the island, only to hear someone mock the food as though it's beneath them. Imagine wiping down floors amid leaks and storm damage. Exhausted and worried sick about your family, only to hear a visitor loudly complain about room service delays because they're on vacation and deserve better. You'd likely feel anger, confusion, or even disbelief. In that moment, it is easy to internalize those complaints as disregard for your humanity, like their leisure and comfort matter more than your safety and dignity. That emotional reaction is valid and important to acknowledge. To someone living through a natural disaster, the expectation of luxury hospitality can feel like a refusal to see people as people, rather than employees or service providers. It can feel like your life, your pain, and your community's suffering are being overshadowed by someone else's sense of entitlement. For many island workers, that attitude isn't just frustrating. It hurts. It stings. It feels like being invisible in your own home, and yet, here's where things get complicated. Just as locals have a right to feel overwhelmed and misunderstood, tourists have a perspective too, one that deserves to be heard without immediate dismissal. Before we jump to judgment, we should acknowledge that many travelers also operate from their own valid emotional lens. Think about it from the visitor's point of view. They saved all year. They may work stressful jobs, navigate life in busy cities, sacrifice time and energy, and look forward to this break as a rare and precious moment of rest. They booked an expensive trip, not for extravagance, but for peace. For relief. For that 1 week where they can breathe, reset, and feel safe away from their regular responsibilities. Some travelers don't take vacations often, and this one trip may represent months of budgeting, overtime shifts, childcare struggles, and planning. Their frustration isn't necessarily rooted in entitlement. It may come from disappointment and stress. They weren't prepared for disaster. They may feel frightened, stranded, uncertain, and emotionally shaken too. They may not know the cultural nuances, economic difficulties, or emergency protocols of the country they're visiting. They only know they paid for a service that suddenly isn't there. And fear, confusion, and unfamiliarity can express themselves as frustration. Is it the most compassionate response? Not always. But is it human? Absolutely. Some people expect that because they paid for a premium environment, they should still receive the security, support, and communication they were promised, especially when they are far from home and dependent on the resort for safety. They aren't only upset about luxury slipping away. Some are scared. Some feel abandoned. Some don't trust they'll get help or clarity without speaking up loudly. So yes, while locals may feel emotionally wounded by complaints in the middle of crisis, travelers may feel defenseless and uncertain, grasping for reassurance in the only way they know how, by demanding the structure and service they believed they paid for. Two truths can exist at once. Two emotional realities can clash without one being pure malice and the other being pure righteousness. And that's the lesson here. Empathy must run both ways. Locals deserve compassion for enduring danger while trying to work. Tourists deserve understanding for feeling unprepared and vulnerable in a frightening situation. No one benefits when we amplify anger instead of connection. Emergencies reveal the cracks in human expectation, communication, and perspective. And while we can critique tone, entitlement, accountability, and hospitality systems, we must also remember that humans, on both sides, are responding to fear, uncertainty, and disappointment. It becomes less about who's wrong and more about learning how to hold space for one another's experiences. So, before passing judgment on the vacationer complaining or the local feeling disrespected, remember, everyone is navigating shock, stress, and survival in their own way. And wisdom comes not from choosing a side immediately, but from recognizing that both sides have something real and important beneath their reactions.
And to see fellow Black Americans get up on the app and complain that y'all don't have adequate food or liquor. In my parents' home country, where I still have family who are picking through rubbles, wondering if their house is still there, wondering how they're going to do the next steps, and y'all really sitting there complaining about not having adequate food at your resort, not having liquor, and you getting mad at people on your head tops because you decided to record. You decided to get up on the internet and record yourself complaining about how you're not getting adequate whatever. Knowing damn well you about to come and fly back to this country where they gonna treat you like I don't know what.
Hurricane Melissa ripped through Jamaica as a Category 5 storm, leaving the island devastated and scrambling to recover. Power lines collapsed, roads flooded, and entire communities were forced into survival mode. But as locals worked to protect their homes and each other, tourists vacationing on the island found themselves in the middle of a crisis they never expected to face. Some began venting online, upset that the luxury experience they paid for disappeared overnight. One American traveler posted that she was ready to go home and surviving Hurricane Melissa was not on the itinerary, while a British visitor shared videos complaining about the modest food rations the resort provided during the emergency. To them, they didn't receive what they paid for, and they wanted accountability. However, those reactions didn't sit right with many Jamaicans, who felt tourists were being insensitive to what the country was going through. One Jamaican man posted a video mocking complaining travelers, saying he couldn't wait for the airport to reopen so some Black American tourist could leave. The irony? The woman he targeted wasn't even a Black American, but emotion and perception were already in play. And that sparked tension. Some Jamaicans saw the complaints as selfish, a refusal to acknowledge that people were fighting for their lives, not just missing out on beachside cocktails. They argued that no resort can deliver luxury services during a national disaster, and guests should show empathy for workers who are also victims of the storm. But then came the counterpoint from travelers. One woman who had just returned from Jamaica explained why visitors get frustrated. From her perspective, travelers pay premium prices, save up all year, and trust the resort's promises. Resorts heavily market themselves as tropical paradises open year-round, with no warnings about hurricane season, no built-in travel protection, and no clear disaster protocols communicated at booking. And the truth is, even before Hurricane Melissa, many guests were already criticizing Jamaican resorts for issues like inconsistent service, high cost with low value, outdated facilities, and amenities not matching the brochures. So for these travelers, the storm didn't just ruin a vacation, it exposed problems they believed the resort industry already had. Caught between these views are people with real emotions. Jamaicans defending their homeland during a crisis, and tourists feeling blindsided after paying top dollar for a dream trip. And beneath it all lies a deeper social friction, misunderstandings between diaspora travelers and Caribbean locals, fueled by frustration and fear on both sides. Some Black Americans stood strongly with Jamaicans, offering support and prayers, recognizing the situation for what it truly is, a humanitarian emergency, not a bad resort review. And at the center is one question we rarely talk about. When disaster hits paradise, where does hospitality end and human compassion begin? Now here's where the debate gets heated. One woman, a first-generation American with Jamaican roots, offered what I believe was the weakest rebuttal in this whole discussion. She criticized Black American tourists for expressing frustration, arguing that they should be more mindful because Jamaicans are dealing with lost homes and worried about family. On the surface, her point sounds compassionate. But then comes the contradiction. If Jamaica offers such a superior sense of pride and community, why is she living in America instead of back home? And if tourists are supposedly being selfish, isn't it also worth acknowledging that those same tourists are choosing to spend their hard-earned money supporting Jamaica's economy? Something even many diaspora Jamaicans don't consistently do? Here's the reality. When someone pays premium prices for a resort experience, they expect the service they were sold. And when a natural disaster interrupts that experience, responsibility doesn't vanish into the wind. A traveler isn't wrong to expect refunds, solutions, or at the very least transparency. People prayed for this trip, budgeted for it all year, and hoped for rest from stressful work back home. They aren't attacking Jamaica. They're addressing a service issue. They shouldn't suddenly be shamed for voicing frustration, especially when the resorts aren't offering refunds or clear policies. That changes the dynamic. When someone spends money and receives far less than promised, frustration is inevitable. Of course, a more patient person may choose understanding, and many did. Plenty of Black Americans expressed empathy and solidarity with Jamaicans during the hurricane. But not everyone will respond that way, and we can't expect them to. Customers vary, emotions vary, and situations like this reveal a bigger cultural misunderstanding. Criticism of service does not equal hatred toward Jamaica or its people. Yet some locals immediately jump to go-back-home rhetoric, even misidentifying who was who, lumping Caribbean Americans and Black Americans together. Imagine telling the very people who invest in your tourism economy that their concerns don't matter simply because they aren't locals. That's not fair, and it's not good business. This also exposes a larger truth seen in many developing regions, a seller's market mindset. When complaints arise, instead of accountability, customers are often treated as the problem. But hospitality doesn't work that way. If a resort can't provide the experience it advertised, even due to an act of God, then the ethical response is to offer refunds or compensation. You can't ask visitors to bear the loss and then shame them for wanting what they paid for. Respect goes both ways. Tourists love Jamaica. That's why they came. Critiquing service during chaos isn't disrespect. It's consumer fairness. And if the attitude becomes, "We're not responsible, and you should just be grateful," then travelers have every right to reconsider whether they return. Loyalty to a homeland is admirable, but accountability is necessary too. Tourists aren't the enemy. They are contributors to the economy, supporters of the culture, and many genuinely love Jamaica. If someone invests in your country, the expectation isn't blind sympathy. It's clarity, fairness, and professionalism. And if a destination reacts defensively instead of responsibly, travelers are justified in asking, should we spend our money somewhere else? And honestly, if I were a traveler in that situation, I'd take my business elsewhere next time. Let another group deal with that attitude. Because here's the truth. If the government and institutions in a country were truly providing for their citizens, tourism wouldn't be this critical to survival in the first place. People wouldn't have to rely on outsiders to keep the economy afloat. Jamaica has incredible people, warm, proud, resilient, but the leadership there has failed them for decades. Everyday Jamaicans don't deserve that. Yet they are forced to live with instability, poor infrastructure, and limited support long before a hurricane arrives. So when members of the diaspora show up, spend their money, and contribute to the local economy, it shouldn't turn into hostility the moment they voice a concern. They are not attacking Jamaica. They are addressing service expectations as paying customers. And let's be real, if the situation were reversed and locals traveled abroad and didn't receive what they paid for, they would complain too. That's not disrespect. That's consumer reality. At the end of the day, this isn't about hating Jamaica or undermining its people. It's about accountability, fairness, and recognizing that tourists, including Black Americans, support the island in meaningful ways. They love the culture, they invest their money, and they choose Jamaica because they feel connected to it. So blaming them for expecting what they purchased is misguided. The frustration isn't toward Jamaicans. It's toward systems that fail locals and visitors alike. So what do you think? Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay respectful, and keep the conversation going.